Can everyone see my screen?
I think so.
Well, thank you for coming. Yeah, as my housekeeping was, yes, we're going to record. So Joe's done that. Please stay on mute if you can, just so it doesn't interfere with the sound until we've got things we want to say. If you've got a question or you want to ask something, you can use the little hand up icon and Joe will keep an eye out for it, or just wave. We'll come to you. And also use the chat. So if you've got questions or you want to ask things of each other, then feel free to use the chat function, and we'll also keep an eye on that for things that we can be helpful with as well. Everyone's renamed themselves, so that's really helpful. Thank you. So without further ado, here's a little brief outline of what we're going to go through today. I'll introduce myself and Joe from the CAG team, and we'll have a little see who's here. I'm going to go through some of the key sort of marketing and comms channels that we all use and do a little bit of what's good about them, what's bad about them, and how to make the best of them. Then we're going to split into breakout rooms and have a chance to chat to each other to find out what's worked for you and what your challenges are. I'll do a bit more chatting about strategy and content and some tips and tools of the trade that can help your comms questions, and then we'll try and go away on a positive with us all feeling motivated and deciding on an action or something. Okay, so welcomes and introductions. Hello, I'm Alice. I'll start. I work for CAG Oxfordshire. I'm the comms officer. I've been working there for about 18 months now, though it still feels like my new job. I've worked in a lot of third sector organisations over the last 12 to 13 years in various guises, but mostly as comms and development. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, but I'm also always learning. And this is a bit of well, comms, I guess, is always evolving and developing. And so staying on top of it can be a job in itself, as I'm sure we'll all get on to talking about. So I'm by no means the ultimate expert in this. I'm here to tell you what I know and to listen to you and hear from you as well. I've got Joe here. Joe, do you want to quickly say?
Hi, yeah, I'm Joe. I joined CAG last August, similar time to Alice. I was originally working as operations coordinator doing finance, so I may well have made payments to some of you as CAGs. I'm just moving on to manage the Replenish project, which is our project on reducing food waste and helping people to eat well and grow their own food. So looking forward to that.
Thank you. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so I can see who's here. And
do you want me to pass it on, Alice?
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll pass on to David. David.
Okay, I'm David Newman. I'm here looking for ways to communicate for the over 50s group in the Donington Tenants and Residents Association. I also am a Blackbird Leys parish councillor and run elections for the Oxfordshire Green Party.
Thanks, David. Anne, do you want to?
Oh, I'm on the Beckley Stowood Village Hall, but I'm also involved in other things like green groups or protest groups, so like Stop the Ark or Bioabundance. Yes, so I'm always ready to learn more about communication.
Fab, thank you. Eleanor, I mean, I know who you are, but if you can let the group know.
I'm from Rosehill and Iffley Low Carbon, and we had a wonderful communications person who left because she had too much on, and so nobody's really updating our website. I'm not sure how to do it, and we also our newsletter editor has left, and so MailChimp is something that's also new to me, and I'd welcome some help with MailChimp and WordPress, please, if possible.
We'll see what we can do in an hour and a half, but certainly offline as well. We can help with things like that. Jennifer. Oh.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Lanham. I'm a community outreach officer for the Cotswolds National Landscape, specifically with the Everyone's Even Load River Project, so part of the Even Load Catchment Partnership. And a lot of what I do involves communication. So I'm always interested in learning new and improved ways of reaching out to the communities.
Great, thank you. Wendy.
Hiya.
Hi.
I'm working in the market at Wolvercote Community Market just as a volunteer, and I came here because we were told this was on tonight, and I'm complete communications ignorant. I know nothing about it. I don't do social media. And I just thought maybe it's time to dip my toe in the water, find out a bit more about it. So thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Cara, you're next on my screen.
I'm just trying to switch my video and everything on. There we go.
Oh, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I just I just did a 2-hour Zoom meeting and needed to quickly grab something to eat. So, so I'm supporting Marcus at Transition Chipping Norton. I've been working with him for nearly a year now and setting up a sort of youth provision in Chipping Norton. So I'm mostly working on the youth side, but I just thought it'd be really helpful to get to meet lots of faces. I've seen lots of emails buzzing about and see what I can pick up and what might help what we do. So. But yeah, I guess our main challenge at the moment is building capacity, and I think with the pandemic, everything that was happening sort of shrank, and so it's trying to grow back again after that.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people are in a similar position. Thanks, Cara. Sally?
Hi, I'm Sally. I volunteer with Wendy at the Wolvercote Community Market with my daughter, and it was actually my teenage daughter who was going to come along this evening because she's hoping to help out after Christmas with the social media, but she's got mocks tomorrow, so she's a bit stressed. So I'm going to take notes for her. But yeah, we just want to try and attract more people to the market. We've kind of got a core of regulars who come, but we want to try and attract maybe a younger audience and try and get more people from a bit further afield. So we thought social media is probably the best, and would like some tips on how to reach that wider audience.
We'll see what we can do. Thank you. Mohiba, is that how you pronounce it?
Indeed.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. My camera off because I won't be able to stay too long, as long as I wish to stay. I was a university professor until lately. I retired, and for the last 3 years, I've been a life coach. I love communication. I've always communicated with people, loved communicating, connecting with people. Usually it's the first step that is hard for me. I don't go out there to people and say, hello, may I introduce myself? But once introduced, I go into it so easily, smoothly, and I love it. I'm not into social media in the sense Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I like to contact people through WhatsApp, and I love all the communication that comes through YouTube, all the workshops. I love attending workshops. You always share ideas. both ways. And this is what I love about it. I really love to meet people. That's basically what I hope to get within the short while I'll be with you.
Thank
And I
you.
hope I can share something with you.
I hope so too. All right, thank you everyone. I'll just share my screen again. Good mix of people. So we're going to start with a poll, which I've just realized I need to, oh no, I can do it with this. So I've got 2 questions just to start getting you thinking. One is about what communications you use at the moment, and the other one is about how you receive information yourself. And so it's really just for us to have a look at what you're using at the moment, basically. So I'll just launch this. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
So if you tick away, you can tick as many as you want. I just want to it only let me put 10 options in because I wanted to put at the bottom an other because obviously I haven't covered everything, but it wouldn't let me do any more. But once everyone's filled it in, then I think I can share the results so we can see.
Question?
Yeah.
I don't see newsletters.
That's email marketing.
So it's okay, but they're not email newsletters.
Oh, what, like physical newsletters?
Yeah,
I
right.
would put that in posters, flyers.
Okay, all right. I forgot to say, I'd done that for 21 years now.
Yeah, I should put that as as an option, but yeah, I know. Right, has everyone put their answers in? I'm going to end that. Share results. So you can see that no one is using TikTok, Facebook, emails, e-newsletters, WhatsApp, word of mouth. These are your top ones, which I suspected that you use for your organization. And how you receive information. Again, emails, email marketing, WhatsApp, word of mouth, and a bit of social media. Thanks for that. Was there anything that I've missed on there that anyone thought was significant, one that was missed, apart from the physical newsletters that Anne mentioned?
Can I just say we use Nextdoor quite a bit
Oh yeah, yeah.
to advertise things.
I've got that on my list of things to talk about, so.
Good. I mean, it can be terrible Nextdoor, but it does get to people locally.
Yeah, great, thank you.
And I don't know if word of mouth includes stalls and canvassing.
Yeah, I would say I was trying to think of a catch-all for sort of face-to-face really. So I would say that, yeah, that sort of captures it. Captures that.
Did you include newspapers and radio spots?
I didn't. Yeah, that's a good one.
Or YouTube.
Yeah, and YouTube. All right, thanks for that. So here's my slide that it's got a lot of words on. I just thought I'd go through some of the main ones to give you a bit of an idea of how these are used and some of the ways that we use them and the best ways to get, to get good use out of them. So lots of people say, I'll start with Facebook. Lots of people say that Facebook is dead and no one uses it anymore, but it is still the biggest social network at the moment in the world, nearly 3 billion monthly active users. And people use it, you know, it's not just something that people check every day, like once a day or once a week. Like the majority of people on there are visiting it every day, and perhaps even several times a day, like checking in, looking at their notifications. So it is something that, you know, is at the forefront of people's use, a lot of people anyway. The way that we use it, so I mean, there's groups and pages. People use it to advertise, so you can do paid for advertising as well. I would say it is definitely probably being taken over a bit by WhatsApp in terms of that kind of really personal communication. People don't tend to have those conversations on Facebook anymore like they used to, but it is where people go to see up-to-date information. If there's a website link and a Facebook page, people will automatically tend to go to the Facebook page because they would assume that's been updated more recently. So I would, if you do have a page or a group, then use it and keep it updated, because if someone goes there and sees that it's had a post on it recently, or there's a new event, or there's a new picture, they'll, you know, it sort of makes them realize that you're active and that the information there is useful and current. So if you can only do one thing, then keep your Facebook up to date. Groups versus pages. Groups is definitely, so a group is where you would invite people or people can join, and it's a bit more of a smaller than usually a page, with people that might converse over just looking at information. So that's where you might get sort of chats and comments and people sort of sharing. So that can be a bit more personal. A page is more of a kind of bulletin where you would just post your information. I don't think you need a group and a page. You could pick one or the other, but for the sake of saving time. And in terms of community groups, I think a Facebook group, an open group that anyone can join, is usually the best way to go. I'll talk a little bit about adverts. It's a really economical way of reaching a lot more people. If you want to build engagement or build the number of people that see your posts, then you can set it really small, because obviously if you're just trying to reach a small area, you could just spend like £2 or £3, even £5. You put your postcodes in and you can get a post out. It doesn't need to be advertising anything in particular. It could just be advertising the group, but it sort of gets in front of more people and it might get them to join. I know we've used them when we've done recruitment for jobs, and we get a really good sort of response, and it tends to bump up your followers. So it's worth trying. I always say, like, you know, just don't be afraid, have a go, click on it. And the worst thing that happens is you might spend a few pounds on an advert that doesn't really pay off, but at least you've had that experience of the process and how it works, and you get a sort of insight into what sort of results it brings in. So I think that that Facebook adverts are quite a good way of low cost outreach. Obviously the downsides of Facebook is you're not going to have everyone on it, so it can't be the only thing that you use. And so you can be uploading a lot of information in there and then you have to upload it somewhere else. But I guess that's just the nature of comms. But I would say Facebook is still, for communities especially, it's probably the main one to use. I'll go on to Instagram next, because Instagram is owned by Facebook. So it's obviously really growing. It's got over 2 billion users, so it's bigger than Twitter now. Most people say it's a younger demographic, but I think that's changing. I think more and more people are coming to Instagram. Obviously, for those that don't know, it's a platform where it's mainly visuals, so you would post a picture or a video and you have a caption underneath. And so you can't just put a post up, it has to have a picture with it. So you always have to be creating something visual to go alongside it, but that's what people, you know, sort of respond to, is that visual cue. So it's worth thinking about, you know, how you want to present your organization in a visual way. It's owned by Facebook, I said, so actually the quite good thing is if you've got a Facebook page, you can add your Instagram to that and you can share things on at the same time, so they do sort of talk to each other. And if you post something on Instagram, there's always an option to post it to Facebook as well, so it's a good way of killing two birds with one stone. Reels and stories, these are more like little video clips, so it's called like Instagram TV. People will scroll through and watch a load of little short videos at one time, and that's how people sort of inhale information on Instagram. I find that the stories get looked at as much as like the static posts. The stories and the reels are very short-lived, so you put them up and they're only there for 24 hours, so it's quite like if you do something and it's not very good, it's not there for very long, it can go away. But there are ways of saving them as well, so you can save them to highlights if you want. If you have done something that you're really proud of and you don't want it to disappear after 24 hours, you can save it. So again, it is worth having a little play around with that, because it's quite a fun one to get involved in. I would say Instagram is more personal than business, so it's where people go to kind of follow people that they have a general interest in, and to follow themes and projects and things that they're personally interested in. Obviously there are businesses in there, but I would say the way to communicate on Instagram is to reach people on a kind of personal level, and to share content that, you know, would appeal to them in that way. Instagram has a big, you'll hear about influencers. So, you know, if you know anyone that's doing well on Instagram, like befriend them and get them to share, because it's all about sort of people sharing other people's content and that getting shared and the sort of ripple effect of that. So if you don't want to get involved in Instagram yourself, I would have a look and see if there's anyone in your area or anyone in your field that has quite a big following, and befriend them and see if they'll share your content for you. I didn't realize there was another one there. Oh, sorry. LinkedIn, I would say this is definitely more business to business, but for some groups that works really well, especially if you're trying to get, you know, trying to meet other like-minded people, and, you know, it's business to business, but it's sort of one-to-one business to business. So people, you know, again, like Facebook, you'll have news feeds and comments, and, you know, I found some really interesting articles on I think it's a lot where people post sort of articles and information about what they're doing, and obviously for recruitment, for sort of blogs about people's interests and themes. And yeah, training as well. I know one of you mentioned about going to things. There's quite a lot of free sort of training that people share on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for things, then again, you can follow people that you're interested in and sort of make connections that way. Nextdoor, Eleanor mentioned this. It's a sort of hyper local one, so you put in your postcode and you instantly get connected to people that live within a certain radius of where you are. So it's a really good way to connect on a very, very local level. From an organizational point of view, they have polls and there's a way to sort of engage people in that way. Again, I would say it's probably it's good for some things, but I'd say there's always going to be people that aren't on it or that haven't heard of it. So while it can be good, it can't be the be all and end all. But I think for Eleanor said, for connecting with people that might not be on your Facebook or that you might not meet day to day in the shops and on your rounds, then it's quite a good one. TikTok. No one's using this, but it is really fun. It's all about videos. You can upload a video of up to 3 minutes. So unlike Instagram, where the limit is 1 minute for their videos, you can post longer videos. It's a really good application for sort of sharing, if you do have short videos, for getting them on TikTok, and then you get a really good, and they have like a bank of music that you can use. So it's really great if you're making short little films, and then your films from TikTok can be shared on your Facebook and on your Twitter and on your Instagram. So it's quite a good way of creating those videos, having a place to store them, like a kind of video library, and then using it to share other people. It's definitely younger people that use it, but again, I think it's creeping into everyone's lives, and I will just warn you that you will end up watching a lot of videos of people cleaning their ovens and oh, it's just crazy, the stuff that people share that you get sucked into. You'll just end up going down a rabbit hole. But it is like, it's gaining huge traction, and people are getting a lot of views and a lot of engagement from it. So again, I would say don't be afraid of it. Have a look, watch some videos, see what other people are posting. And if nothing else, just set up a profile so as you can have a place to store any little videos you make. As long, I mean, there's YouTube as well, but I think this is a little bit more accessible. Well, I didn't do Twitter. So Twitter is an interesting one. I mean, everyone must have heard the news that it's being taken over, and it's become a bit more controversial than it used to be. It doesn't actually have as many people using it as you'd think. Only a quarter of the people that use Facebook. I would say it's more of a bulletin service really than a place to engage people. I found this statistic really interesting, that 10% of users are responsible for 90% of tweets. So people tend to go on there and read things, but less people actually post content. So and yeah, if I'm stuck in a traffic jam or I'm waiting for a train and it's not there, I might go on Twitter to that person's page to see if there's like a live update. So that's what it is really good for breaking news. But, you know, having said that, lots of our groups and our people are on there, so it's not one to be discarded. But if you're short on time, I would say Twitter's probably not the best place to go. And then these are all the other one. I'll try and rattle through this because I don't want us to run out of time. Email. So this was the one that everyone said that they use. And again, I think it's the most, if you do one thing, I think it's the most important thing, is to have an email, start creating a mailing list, and to send information to people that way. Nearly everyone has an email address and receives and sends emails. You know, here it says digital communication trends and channels have a habit of appearing and evolving. Email has consistently remained one of the most reliable and effective forms of communication. So it's not going anywhere. And you know, if someone hasn't, you know, if you've sent someone an email, they will be able to find it. They'll be able to find that information. It's there. It's accessible. If you've posted something on Facebook or you post something on Twitter that, you know, it could have got lost, you know, people might not know where to find it, but if they'll remember, oh yes, they sent me an email, and you can go and find it really easily. So and I know Eleanor mentioned about MailChimp, so I'll come on to that about you know, useful ways to build mailing lists and to send mail outs. And there's Google Groups and lots of different ways to to make emailing a lot of people a lot easier. Oh, what's going on there? WhatsApp. I'm sure almost all of you said you were on WhatsApp. Obviously, it's, you know, it's how we communicate. We probably get at least 10 to 15 WhatsApps a day. How many WhatsApp groups are you on? It's the most accessible way to reach someone, but then it's also really personal. So I would say there are groups that are using WhatsApp, but you need to be really careful, obviously, about GDPR, about sharing people's phone numbers, about who's in that group, about who can see what, and about moderating group chats. So I think it's really great if you are organizing something and you've got a group of volunteers that you want to get together, because obviously that's the quickest way to communicate with them, is to create a WhatsApp group. But if it's a sort of big WhatsApp group with lots of people in, then you need to make sure someone's moderating that chat, and making sure that it's like it's a useful group and that there's not anyone that's sort of posting loads of stuff that isn't relevant and things like that. So it can take a bit of time to moderate and make sure it's working. I didn't know this, but I found out you can create a broadcast list on WhatsApp, which is not a group, it's just it is a group, people add to them, but it's just something where you can post information, and it's not a group chat. So I will go away and look more into that, but I suggest that could be a good way of getting your information out there. Your website, again, I would just say, if you can have a website, even if it's like have some useful information on there. If someone is searching for you or trying to find what's going on locally in their area, and they see you've got a website that looks like it's been updated fairly recently and has useful information in it, then it instantly sort of instills trust. It's a reassuring presence that you're sort of there, and that the information is current and useful. The same with the Facebook page, you know, just it can be a little off-putting, I think, when you're searching for someone and the only thing you can find is something from 4 years ago, and you're like, oh, I don't know if this group's still active or it's not. So it's just a way of letting people know that you are active and that there is stuff happening, and, you know, clear ways to get involved. So yeah, just having some information like your timetables, your contact details, a link to the Facebook page. This, you know, updates are always on here, so then if you are only ever going to update your Facebook page rather than your website, at least your website says that. Obviously the comms does need updating, so, you know, thinking about what information can be static and what needs to be updated. This use no code platform, those are things like Wix and WordPress, where, you know, they're kind of block builder websites that are quite easy to set up and maintain. So actually building a website these days is not like it used to be. You can literally get one going in an evening if you wanted to, and again, that's something that we can help people with. And then of course you have to go offline, because not everyone is online, and I know plenty of people that aren't online, and they get all their information by things that are posted through their letterbox, things that are on their community notice boards, GP surgeries, shop windows, door knocking, you name it. So there's got to be a bit of, for all that you do online, there has to be a little bit of making your presence known in your community offline as well. So I'm sure everyone uses those, and it's just making sure that you're sort of thinking about the best way to do it, because obviously it can be expensive to print out lots of leaflets. It's not great for the environment. It takes a lot of time. It's someone's responsibility. You need volunteers, so it's about working out the best way to kind of make sure that information is there in the best possible way. So that's my whistle stop tour of some of the main ones. We didn't talk, I talked about next door, newspapers and radio. So yeah, I mean, it's another great way of getting your message out there. I would say BBC Radio Oxford are usually really responsive. They're always looking for community stories. So getting on the radio is a great way of chatting to people. And in the papers, the Oxford Mail are usually quite keen to have community stories, but I feel like that's a training session for another day on working with your local media, which is one that we do anyway. So I won't go into that too much. The other one I didn't talk about is YouTube, which again, obviously is a place for hosting videos and sharing videos, a bit like TikTok. And again, having a YouTube channel is a really great thing to have sort of linked onto your website, so that people can really clearly see a place to go and find out a bit more about you in a really sort of visual way, which is definitely how people are inhaling information these days. Oh, I feel like I've talked a lot, so I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Does anyone have any questions at this point, or do you want to save them till the end? Let's save them and move on. I'm going to answer that quickly. Joe's going to split us into groups, and on that discussion slide, I just thought it'd be nice to split into smaller groups, so you get a chance to talk and I get a chance to stop talking. Just really just chatting to each other about what has worked well for your group.
Not all of us, but most of us we're volunteers, so we have other jobs, and this is squeezed in. So anything that is that saves time is brilliant. I was particularly worried about the whole taking photos and when you can use them, but we think that maybe a photo taken in a public place is okay to use. But as Jennifer pointed out, some people get very upset about having their children in photos, so you know, this should be checked, or even if you have a photo release form, get them to sign that or something. So and then we sort of got into the more technical realm of hashtags, and you know, feels like there's a whole kind of expertise there on how you hashtag your posts, so you get the right amount of people, not too general, not too specific. But yeah, I was definitely I think it was interesting, and as Cara pointed out as well, it's good, the more networks you're on, they kind of feed off each other, and it kind of multiplies your impact. So you need to spread your resources, but hopefully if you can get them to link up like Facebook and Instagram, that you don't have to repost everywhere.
Yeah, I've got some tips for that later on, so I'll talk a little bit more about that, and yeah, I can talk a little bit about hashtags in the question when we've got time for questions later as well. But it sounds like Jennifer knows what she's doing probably more than me. Do the other group want to feedback at all? You don't have to, but if there was anything that you think would be useful to share.
I don't mind saying something, ladies and gentlemen, if that's all right. First of all, just what Sally said about people and photos and children on Facebook. I don't know if that's still right, but I understand that if somebody complains, as long as you just take it down as soon as then you're okay. Because I know people get very worried about permission and everything. Obviously, posed photos, you would ask permission. But I used to run a children's theatre school a long time ago, and it was a long time ago, so it may have changed. But they used to say, if somebody complained, just take it down and apologise, and then you should be okay. But I don't know if that's still the case. And then the other thing I just want to say was something I think was really pertinent, was David said about the repetition of having, like with leaflets. I think he made the case that they've done some research that you kind of have to do 5 before people even look at them. And I think that idea of having to keep a current presence is a really good one, whether it is updating websites or whatever. Just that seems to be a really important thing, that to make sure, because everything's so here today, gone tomorrow, isn't it? And you've got to just keep up the awareness. But as Sally said, it's about volunteers most of the time, so it's finding the manpower to do all that.
Yeah, I think there's sometimes this thing of like, oh, I posted about that this week, so I better not post again. But the way that the algorithms and everything works, like one post might get seen by some people but not by others. So I don't, I think it is definitely like the more the better, but make it, try and make it a little bit different,
vary it a bit.
Yeah. So you might be saying the same thing but in a slightly different way, as much as possible. And I think that is definitely, especially with social media, and again with leaflets and things like that, if people keep seeing it and then they see it online as well, it just reinforces it. But it's, you know, it can be just an endless cycle of things that you feel like you should be doing, and that if you drop the ball on one thing, you're going to have ruined everything. And it, you know, I don't think that's the case. You know, doing what you can with the time that you can will make a difference. It just might take a little bit longer to build up that sort of wider following, rather than if you can do it all at once. So but yeah, in terms of photos, it can be a really tricky one. I would say if you're having an event, always just have a, you know, like a poster or something that says, you know, like, we're taking pictures at this event, you know, please come and let us know. So, you know, you've sort of given people an opportunity to say if they're not happy to have pictures taken. Again, yeah, I just said in the chat, like Cara said, if there is like a group of kids, then maybe, you know, find one where it's not so obvious that there's one person in the front, unless you know them and you know they're going to be cool with it. You can use stock images. You can get some really good ones. I'm going to go on to that. But yeah, general sort of mingling shots, you know, they are the best ones. So I just, yeah, belt and braces, just go for it and take the pictures. And like you said, if someone really does come back and say, oh, I didn't realize you were taking pictures, then just take it down. But you know, you really do, you do want to get pictures. Don't be afraid of trying to get them, because they are the best way to communicate. Jennifer.
Sorry, I'm typing madly in the chat, but it just makes more sense to just put it out there that there are, you know, you can put out a message saying there will be pictures taken, but there will be people that may not include themselves in your activity for fear of any sorts of repercussions. There are vulnerable women and children, especially out there, who by putting their image out there without their consent could endanger them, you know, be it an angry spouse or, you know, that sort of thing. So I would always, it just takes a minute to say to someone, gosh, your kid looks so cute. Can I take up, you know, I represent this organization or this event. Would it be okay if I take a picture, and would you be willing to sign a consent form? Because that will, you know, if you make somebody angry, you know, so that they have to, you know, get a hold of you and say, take that image down, you've just tarnished your reputation. So I would just encourage everyone to just ask. People often feel very flattered. Oh, my child is so precious. Do take a picture, you know. Oh, wonderful that they're going to be promoting the market on your social media. You know, a lot of people feel that way, but I think the minority of people that you could potentially put in harm's way, even if it is a slight thing, you know, it just takes a minute to prevent that. So I would ask that people just consider that strongly before they post anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And but yeah, like you said, like 90% of people are usually absolutely fine with it. So get the permission that you can. And yeah, if you get a picture and you're not sure, then, you know, don't post it rather than posting it, is what I would say. And again, like with sharing other people's, you know, if you see someone's picture on Instagram or Facebook, don't assume that they want you to share it. Like, I'll normally ask someone, I'd ask them if I can reshare it if it's going like out on something bigger than the group that it's in. So it can be a bit of a minefield, but you know, there's ways to get around it and to get those really good pictures out there.
Alice, Eleanor just asked if we have a template form at CAB. I don't think we do, but it's something we could.
Oh, it's definitely something we could share. Yeah, I'm sure if we don't have one, I'll do one and share it round after. Happy to share that. On anything else that I think of that's useful, I can share in a follow-up email after this. Right, let me just put my PowerPoint back on again. We've only got half an hour left. It's gone so quickly, so I will try and rattle through some of this. Some of these next bits. So strategy, such a boring word, but I do think it's worth, like you said, we were all sort of really busy, and actually, you know, just pie in the sky comms can be a bit a bit of a waste of time. So it is worth spending a little bit of time just thinking about what you want to do, what you're trying to achieve, what your aims are, and then sort of working backwards from that to kind of come up with some ideas of how you might get there. So, you know, obviously, like with the market, it's obvious you want to get people to the market, but where are those people? How might, you know, we talked earlier about how you receive information. Think about how you get information, about how your mum gets information, about how your kids get information, sort of just come up with a bit of a picture of who you want to come to your events and to get engaged, and where they might be, you know, school runs, day centres. Is there like a community cafe, like places where you can, that already exist, where people are meeting, that you can sort of jump on the back of? So knowing your audience, where they find their information, and also, you know, in that sort of strategy, be realistic. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Just say, I'm going to have a go at Facebook and Instagram because they're shared and it's easy to do that. And I'm going to do some email marketing, and I'm going to make sure my website's updated. You know, just pick the things that you can do and be realistic about what you can do and what you can't do, because you don't want to sort of get overwhelmed, which is really easy to do. And try not to be the only person that does it. You know, bring in as many people as you can. And again, I know we're always short of volunteers and as difficult, but if you can assign, you know, give people very sort of start and finish jobs. Like, don't say, oh, can you do the comms? Just say, oh, could you post 2 Facebook posts a week for me? You know, if people sometimes find it much easier if they've got a very tangible goal. It's like, and if you know, if you have 5 people that then post 2 posts a week, then that's 10 posts a week, and that's a really sort of active feed. So make sure that, you know, you have lots of people that that are able to log in and feel confident with posting and sharing your content, and just sharing the load for you as well. What to post, what to share. So I feel like it falls into 2 sort of broad categories. We have engagement and promotion. So quite often people say to me, oh, you only ever got in touch when you want something, when you want me to do something, or you want me to come to something. And, you know, it can feel like you're constantly asking for something. So, you know, you want to filter in a bit of this sort of engagement stuff, which is less about the kind of hard sell, as it were, and more about sort of letting people know about who you are and what you do and what interests you. So this is where you can sort of share videos and articles of things that relate to what you know, relate to your organization and the things that you're trying to do. Like, share other people's content so you can see that you're sort of building relationships and building partnerships. Comment on other people's things so that they can see that, you know, there's a bigger picture. And that, I mean, it does take time to build up that sort of engagement levels, but it is really complementary to the promotion side of things. And then when you do ask people for things, and they're sort of like, oh well, yeah, I mean, I get them, I know what they're doing, and so I know that I'm going to want to go to that event because what they've shared prior to this interests me. So you're sort of building your personality, as it were, and inviting people to be a part of that. And it's a really important part of promotion. I found this quote, and then I was like, who the heck is Seth Godin? Apparently he's the internet's most famous blogger and the prolific author of marketing books, but he can't be that prolific, so I've never heard of him. But I do get this, that it's no longer about the stuff that you make, but the stories you tell. And I can tell you for a fact that stories are the things that people respond to. Whenever we posted something that's personal and that has pictures of real people, and that is, you know, someone bearing their soul or sharing their feelings or having an emotion, like, those are the posts and the content that we get the most traction on, and that get shared and that get loved and that get reshared, and we get, you know, hundreds of hits for. So definitely don't be afraid to sort of be yourself and share your personality and share, you know, the thing that makes you do what you're doing, because that's what people will sort of respond to, and then ask them to come and give you some money. Tips and tools. Someone mentioned Canva in the chat I saw. This is my absolute favorite tool, and I know it might look a bit sort of daunting, but it has been the best thing. It's free to not-for-profits, so they do have a free version, but you can get the premium version if you're a not-for-profit, and you simply have to upload your constitution or some kind of governing document basically that proves that you're a not-for-profit organization. And it was really quick and really easy. It wasn't a difficult form to fill in, and then you get this amazing tool. I might just screen share my Canva just so that I can show you some of the features, but basically it's a place to make graphics, but they make it really easy and user-friendly, but it's also linked into your socials. So it's like that thing we talked about Facebook and Instagram posting on each other's behalf. On here, you can create a graphic and you can schedule it to go on all your social media channels in Canva as well. So, and you can schedule it to go out at different times. So you could create a graphic and schedule it to go out on 4 different platforms at 4 different times during the week. So it's completely automated. Let me just share my screen and show you it, because it is brilliant. What am I doing? There we go. So you can invite other people to join as well. So in CAG, we've got 6 people that can access the thing. I'll just go. So this is the one for our, you can, up here, you can search for any sort of template. So you can get an Instagram post or a Facebook post, and it's exactly the right size for what you need to do. If I go into that, they have loads of different themes. So you can put in Christmas or you can put in nature, and it will bring up loads of different sort of templates and ideas. You can upload your logos and pictures and anything like that. You can add text, photos. In the pro account, you have a whole bank of photos. So just type something in and you get stock images that you can use. You drag them from here over into the thing and it goes on there. You can put some text on it. So just have a play around. It's really easy to use. And then when you've finished, you can go to this button here, share. You can upload all your social medias. There you go, share on social. All the social medias are on there. You can click on the one you want. I won't do it now, but and then you can schedule it as well. So that's a premium feature. You can set dates that you want those posts to go out. So like for example, for the market, every Friday, the market's on a Sunday, every Friday, you could set the post to go out on Friday at like 7 o'clock or something like that. And you can do it all in Canva. So I just think it's definitely worth spending a bit of time working out how to do it, because it can be a really good tool for you. MailChimp, most of you probably know this. It's like an email marketing platform, but it can manage your mailing lists, and you can embed like a contact form onto your website. So anyone that goes on your website can subscribe to your mailing list, and it goes straight into MailChimp, and then it's all managed. And again, it's brilliant for being able to share with other people the load, because anyone in your organization can log into the MailChimp and have access to the list. And so it's not just on one person's computer in their email, it's something that can be shared with everyone. And then they have brilliant sort of templates and designs for sending emails. They're like, you know, they're pre-designed to work on mobile and desktop and tablet and all of that. And again, they have It's really easy to sort of drag and drop like boxes in, so you can add films, you can add pictures and images to your emails, and it's just a really, I think most people really recognize a MailChimp email as well. So it's kind of, again, it sort of instills that kind of trust of, it's like, oh, this is something I get and understand. I'm very happy, Eleanor, to go through MailChimp with you. If you want me to do it one-to-one with you as well, we can look at that. But again, it's free for up to 2,000 subscribers, and then you have to start paying a monthly fee. But get the free version if you haven't already, and have a play around. It's all sort of really user friendly. Later is a bit like the feature I showed in Canva. So it's a tool that lets you post on all your social medias at once. So again, it's free. They obviously have a premium version as well, but on the free version, you can add up to 4 social media platforms, schedule things, create posts, put them in, say which ones you want them to go to, and off you go. So I use that sometimes, and I use Canva, and sometimes I just use Facebook and Instagram because they do things together. I've put Pexels here, that's the logo for it, but these Pexels, Pixabay, Unsplash and FreePic are all basically places to go for free stock images. So if you're looking for images to use in your comms, obviously you say you haven't got any, you haven't got any pictures that you were available to use, like we talked about. You're worried about using an image that could be identifiable, so you can use a stock image. I tend to find the ones with people can be a bit sort of posed and a bit corporate, but you can find some really good ones, because these sites are basically photographers that have just taken pictures and uploaded them and have allowed people the rights to use them. So you can also feel really confident that you're not taking anyone's personal intellectual property, because they've already, the fact that they're on that site means that they're allowing you to use them. Canva, once you're in it, also has a lot of the same images that Pexels and Pixabay have as well. You'll start to see some of the same ones cropping up all the time. There's also one called Climate Visuals. So for those working in climate action, that's a really good one. It's run by the Climate Outreach, and that's another stock of photos specifically around sort of climate things happening all like globally. So there's some really great images from all around the world in those ones. And then for content planning, I use Trello, which is a kind of project management tool, but it's just really great for managing your lists and things to do and things to post. So because I write the newsletters for CAG, I get sent things all the time, or I come across things on social media, and what I do is I just copy and paste the links and I put them in my Trello, so they're all in one place. So then when I do come to need to write something, or I'm like, oh, I want to post something, then I've got everything that I want in the one place. And again, you can invite other people to join that workspace, so it's not just in your head, it's just a way of being able to share sort of what's in your head with other people. An ideas dump, I call it. So those are a few things that are worth looking at, that they've certainly made my life a lot easier in terms of being able to manage all the things that I have in my brain. Sorry, I just realized I didn't put that on slideshow, so it was probably a bit small, but I'll send you all these slides anyway, so you'll have these. And that is the end of me talking. Does anyone have any questions? Wendy?
I have a question. It's a bit of a general one, in that so I do volunteer at the market, but I'm also just starting to get involved with there's going to be an Oxford festival called Kicking the Bucket. Have you ever heard of that? It's about death and dying.
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay, so pre-pandemic, Liz Rothschild had put on 2-week festivals for the previous, well, it was over the previous 6 years, but she did it every other year. And she didn't then obviously do it during the pandemic, and she's getting to the point where she only wants to do it as a long weekend. But we're all doing that as a volunteer sort of thing. And I just wondered whether for a one-off event of a long weekend, is it worth her applying for CAG? I don't know if it's relevant for her to do CAG. I'm not quite sure about it. But I said I was going to come to this tonight anyway, and I thought I'd ask you. Bit cheeky, really, isn't it? It's very much it's a festival to promote the idea that we're all going to die and we all need to talk about it much more. And it's very much community. And she's trying to be even more inclusive this year. And so she's looking for ideas for that sort of thing as well. So I don't know if that comes under your remit or not.
What, to become a sort of become a CAG basically, and
whether she would be eligible to have these sorts of resources for her. We're only a tiny team, there's 4 of us, you know.
Well, most CAGs are, that's how they start.
That's the thing, isn't
I
it?
would say the best thing to do for that is just to email Eleanor.
Eleanor, this Eleanor
If you
here?
just do the info, no, sorry.
No.
Eleanor Hazewood, who is our network support coordinator.
Okay, could you give me her?
She's on the info@cagoxfordshire.org.uk email address, which is, you know, the main one on our
I'll
website.
pop it in the chat, Alice.
Oh, that would be
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
And she's definitely the first port of call.
Just to tell her about us, because it's like, if it's going to be a really long application process and it may not be relevant, then we wouldn't.
I think for a one-off event, it's probably not worth becoming a CAG, but it's certainly, like, you know, we'd if it, like, as long as it fits in with with the messages that we're saying, that we'd promote it in our newsletters and
okay,
and share it and things like that. So
and that would be amazing. Honestly,
it's always worth, like, and I'll say this to anyone, like, send me whatever you're doing, because I am always after stuff. I can't guarantee that it will go in. It depends, like, what else is coming in and what's going out. But if I don't get it and I don't see it, then I won't be able to share it. So
fair enough. Yeah.
Like do a I'm on the comms@cagoxfordshire.org.uk website and email address. And I spend a huge amount of time finding stuff that's going on, but anyone that sends me something direct gets bumped up because they've saved me some time.
Okay. So that's your comms at CAG Oxfordshire, are you? Okay. And do
that comes straight to me.
Okay, brilliant. That's Alice. In fact, you probably emailed me from that for this tonight, did you?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I sent an email a couple of days ago, so yeah. That might be for my Alice at CAG Oxfordshire, but it all comes to me. So
yeah, lovely.
There's one in the chat if you want to copy it.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
No worries. Does anyone else have any other questions that we could answer in about 5 minutes?
I've got a question, and it's the opposite. What definitely doesn't work that we shouldn't do in
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it? I don't know if I have the answer to that. I would say probably, if you're not on Twitter and don't have a huge Twitter following, like, I would say that's the least effective way of reaching people, because you tends to just be organization to organization, but then they will share it. I would say don't only do one thing, so do a bit of online and a bit of offline. Have, you know, a bit of a belt and braces approach to it. Don't do nothing. Don't assume that, you know, don't just assume that people will come or people will have got the message. and don't assume that you're, you know, don't assume that you're bothering people too much, because, you know, people are very good at shutting out what they do want to hear, what they don't want to hear, and letting what they do want to hear in. You know, you buy something from someone, they send you an email every day for the next forever, and you just ignore it and ignore it and ignore it. Whereas if it's something that you actually want to get involved in, then you won't. So I would say don't be afraid to sort of be a bit, to get in there and to get in people's faces a little bit, because an email from you will be far nicer than an email from Black Friday deals or something like that. So that's my advice. Eleanor?
Could I ask, on Facebook, would you say that there is a sort of, it's better to space out your posts between, let's say, 2 or 3 days, not to have too many, sort of not to hammer 3 Facebook posts in a day, but, you know, suppose you've got various different events coming up, like an energy evening, and then a tree planting, and then you know, a swap shop or something. You know, sometimes you have events that all seem to happen in the same week. Would it be a good idea to leave 2 or 3 days in between the Facebook posts?
I would probably try and do one every day, but at different times of the day. So perhaps one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, because it depends, you know, there's sort of a cycle of when people look. But then perhaps do like a couple of roundup ones saying, in case you didn't see it, we've got these 3 events coming up, so that you can, so you're giving the same information out, but in a slightly different way. So you could do one for each event, and then a roundup of all 3 events, and then you know, tie it in with something else, you know, so you're not posting the exact same post, but you're, you know, like I said earlier, like you're posting sort of the same information but framed in a slightly different way. Because then if someone sees all the posts, it doesn't matter. But if you only see one of the posts, then it'll, you know.
And what does it really mean to reach? Because sometimes we've had hundreds of reaches and then nobody's come to the event. And then sometimes we have about sort of 40 reaches, and we have a lot of, you know, I suppose not all Facebook, but the reaches don't seem to tally with what actually happens.
Yeah, so the reaches are the people that will have viewed the post but not engaged with it. So it's a useful metric.
Engaged means scroll down.
Engaged means they've hit like, or they've shared, or they've commented, whereas like a reach is just that it's like come up in their news feed and they've seen it. So if your reach can usually be quite far and wide, because it's somehow like been in your face, whether you've read it or not.
Sometimes hundreds and sometimes 40.
It's to do with it's really hard, and I haven't quite got my head around it, but I think it's to do with basically Facebook's sort of algorithms. So if there's something that they like, or that someone then likes, or that someone shares, it then sort of gets bumped up in their rankings of something that should be sort of shared. It's really hard to sort of explain, and it's, you know, it might be worth googling it, because I've been down a few rabbit holes. But you know, like for example, like I'll post something and on CAG, and I don't see it and I follow CAG on my personal Facebook, and I won't see it, and then the next day I'll see the post, but it's 24 hours later. So you're kind of posting, but you're posting your content, but you're at the sort of mercy of Facebook's mood as to who gets to see it or who doesn't. And the ones where it gets hundreds and hundreds is usually because it's sort of clicked some kind of button in their kind of internal system that means that they're willing to sort of bump it up a bit. It's really hard to explain, but if people follow you, they'll see it first. and then it goes beyond the people that follow you and goes a bit further into the Facebook world.
Yeah, so I was just Googling it while you were talking. The internet, wise as it is, reckons that things that impact your organic reach, so what's happening without you paying to reach anyone else, are engagement, so the number of likes and comments and shares. So as Alice said, if someone has shared it, then more people's pages will appear in front of more people that you didn't put it in front of. So if lots of people have shared one of your posts, then your reach will go up. When you posted it, time of day of the week, type of content, so things that are trending or time sensitive, Facebook will automatically use its magic to do that. Your number of followers and the followers' preferences, so people might have it turned on or off, whether they're sort of wanting to see particular things you're posting. So that's a few things that might be impacting it.
Thanks.
Jennifer.
I was just wondering if you could highlight when you set up a Facebook account for either a group versus I think an individual, there was a community thing, and I think when I originally went to set that up, it was really complicated. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Sorry, could you just say the question again? I was just
So if depending on how you set up a account, I think you can do a community one or an organization. There's a difference between them, and I set one up originally for a cup scheme that I founded, and it was a bit of a nightmare because it limited me to what I could and could not accomplish. And I can't remember. I'm just thinking it might help somebody else.
Yeah. So Facebook, the annoying thing about Facebook and all of these is they change all the time as well. So the way that they operate. So it used to be that you had to, you as an individual had to set up a group. You couldn't you couldn't be an organization. You had to have a personal profile that an organization was part of. But now you can create a business and create pages off of that. So that's changed. And yeah, whether you set up a page or a group is different again. It has slightly different things that you can and can't do. I would always go for a group. Pages tend to be more sort of businesses, whereas groups are more sort of, it can be run by an organization, but what you're essentially doing is drawing in a group of people rather than being a page where you advertise. But on both of them, as far as I can tell, you can do more or less the same thing. So you can still create events from a page or a group. You can still obviously share posts and stories. So in answer to that, I haven't done one for a couple of years, set up a new group. So but what I do now is that we have CAG Oxfordshire, the business, and I create pages and groups off of that rather than from but I still have this personal profile called Alice CAG, which is like a dummy profile that I set up. So it wouldn't be coming off my personal Facebook, because that's useless if you then leave the company and the Facebook group is attached to your personal Facebook. So it's a bit of a minefield, and probably a little bit of guidance. So I might we've got like a comms toolkit with CAG, which I know needs some updating, so I might look into that and update it a bit and share that as well, so I can get the most useful information on paper as well. Right, it's 8:30, so I just thought maybe we could just quickly go around everyone and say maybe one thing that you learn or that you're going to take away, and or that you're going to do as off the back of this, and then we'll say goodbye. David?
Finding people who'll do 2 posts, who'll do actually just 1 post a week.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Sharing the load. Becky? I mean, Anne? Sorry. It's all Beckley. Oh. Can I unmute you?
Got it. I'm very interested in the interactive website, but I'm not sure that any of my groups can use it, but sure looks good.
Oh, what, the Canva?
The one the Green Party used, I guess. It's interactive.
Oh, okay. An interactive website. Cool.
Basically,
Alright.
anything that you can get record volunteers, but accept donations, sign up to events, and there's quite a lot of different ways of doing that.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess, did you talk about Eventbrite, Alice, or I'm not sure if we...
I didn't mention Eventbrite, but it's another, it's
Yeah.
another one that I know people struggle with as well. We have lots of people saying they hate it, but it also is a free way of having your event, and you know, anything that gives you that sort of URL that you can share widely is brilliant. Cara?
I think checking out the Canva site, because I haven't come across that before, so that looks really interesting.
Brilliant. Wendy?
Yes, well, because I'm such a newbie to all of it, I've got a lot of things to look at, haven't I? But I think particularly I'm interested in MailChimp, looks interesting, and yes, also the Canva, that looks good. But I think it's a really good idea. I'm just wondering if at the next market meeting we could see whether there are any other people who, even if we only wrote the posts for people, even if we didn't do the actual posting of it, because as I say, I don't even have Facebook or anything, and I'm not even sure I want to have anything to do with it, but it's something that you could say, well, maybe if everybody said that, I mean, I don't think once a month is probably enough, but even if you know, you've got different people to write something and then send it to somebody who would actually just put it up there. So this teamwork idea is nice, but whether we actually do that, I don't know. Yeah, thank you ever so much.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Eleanor?
Yes, thank you very much. Been very useful. I think I'm going to try and have photo release forms beforehand, because I usually just do it verbally, and try and link Facebook to Instagram, which we don't use yet.
Brilliant. And Jennifer?
I am going to try Canva again, because when I tried it, I found it very challenging. And I would prefer to use Photoshop, but you got to pay for that. So I will go back to Canva and focus and try again.
It's brilliant. And the other thing that I don't know if I mentioned it, but once you create a post, if you've got the premium version, which you should all be able to get for free, you can resize it for anything. So like, I'll create an Instagram post and then I can resize it to be like a blog banner or you know, something on a web page. So you can you can use the same graphics again and again, like, so you have that consistency of brand, and just resize it, which is brilliant. Oh, well, thanks so much. Was that a question or are you waving? Because thank you so much, everyone, for coming and joining us. I've really enjoyed it, and I'll send some follow-up stuff. And if anyone wants, you know, I'm always at the end of an email, so if anyone's got any further questions or want a bit of help with anything, then just give me a shout.
Okay, thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Right.